Hello, my name's Alex. I'm in Communications 120. That meets Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Uh, I'm here with Brittany. It's my girlfriend. Um, we're here to discuss communication issues that we have within us and in our relationship. So first off, Brittany, do you find any issues that we have right off the bat?
I mean, not really.
Not really. Okay, well, there's a couple. The first one that I would like to go over is code switching. Now, code switching is where you talk to one group of people one way and then another group of people the other way. So, let's say for instance I'm at work. I'm going to talk to my coworkers one way and then I'm going to talk to my friends another way. Brittany, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And in our case, I feel like sometimes we go to work, and when we go to work, we code switch there and we are talking like work and, authoritative and kind of making sure stuff gets done. But when we come home, we don't need to talk like that. Instead, we need to talk more
Casual.
yeah, exactly, more casually, more friendly with each other, but not too friendly. Like we're not friends. I'm not talking to one of my boys. I'm talking to my girlfriend. I need to treat her with that sort of respect. I feel like for us, that kind of gets lost. Especially we live together, and so we have a lot of communication together. Code switching is extremely essential because if we don't code switch, we're going to end up really upsetting the other person. One way that I think that we can really work on this and really make it better, Brittany, is by making sure that before we walk through the door, we think about what we're doing. We think about where we're at, and we think about kind of what the other person has gone through. You know what I'm saying? Just like you have gone through a lot in your day, I've gone through a lot in my day. We're both stressed, but we need to both keep in mind that we're still each other's boyfriend and girlfriend. Okay? Um, the second issue, if you will, that I think we have a problem with is selective recall. Now, selective recall is where you'll remember one thing and the other person won't. Or like you'll remember a certain aspect of something and the other person won't remember it at all. Um, one of the ways that this is kind of an issue for us is because when we're fighting, I'll notice that I'll remember something that definitely happened in my mind, and Brittany will remember something that definitely happened in my mind or in her mind. I'm sorry, but neither one of us will remember it. The other person won't remember it. This happens a lot, like again, like when we're fighting or when we're in some sort of serious situation where it's like, oh, you didn't do this or you did this. And I think if we cut that out of the arguments, you know what I'm saying? That would help a lot. The other thing about selective recall is like we have to understand that the other person has a valid point. That situation did definitely happen. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not just pulling stuff out of thin air and you're like, oh yeah, I think that this happened. I probably did forget to take out the trash that one time. You know what I'm saying? You probably forgot to do whatever it was that I remember you forgetting doing. Um, Either way, it's very important that we both understand that we have to that the other person definitely is not pulling stuff out of thin air. The third thing that I think we need to go over is being able to talk with empathy towards one another even when we're frustrated. So this goes both ways. It goes with talking and also listening with empathy. I think that once in a while we kind of, especially because we live together, we kind of get not bored, but like it becomes mundane having certain conversations with each other. Even though those conversations are necessary. For instance, you telling me to take out the trash is a mundane conversation. But I need to listen with empathy, and you need to speak with empathy. You know what I'm saying? Especially when we're like trying to get each other to do something. I don't want to do it if you're just like, nah, and
Nagging.
yeah, nagging, exactly. And you don't want me just to sit there not really listening. You know what I'm saying? Like, Brittany, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You want me to sit there and be very attentive to what you're doing.
Get really mad.
Exactly. So I think that is a very important part of kind of something that we need to start doing is making empathy for each other at the center point of our conversations.
Okay. Sounds good.
So how are we going to do that? First thing that we can do is every time that we have a conversation with one another, kind of like the code switching. We need to think about where we're at and what we're doing and how we're trying to communicate. What we're trying to like communicate to each other. Am I trying to get a forceful thing across? You know what I'm saying? Am I sitting here trying to go, you need to do this right now, or am I simply just trying to go, hey, like, do you mind, vacuuming the room?
Mm-hmm.
Those are two different conversations. I think a lot of our fights too, to be honest with you, would be cut down if we treated each other not just with more empathy, because it goes beyond that. It's more of a respect thing too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're truly respectful of what I'm talking about, you're gonna be like, okay, like, I need to at least take that into account. Maybe you don't do it, but at least you take it into account. And I think for the and this kind of goes with selective recall too, because it's like, if you keep asking this person over and over and over and over again, they're clearly not listening and being respectful of you, and they're not using empathy for sure. Because if they use empathy, they definitely get it done. They're just simply blowing off what you have to say, and not that you should ever feel like I blow you off, but I do know that sometimes you have to ask me a couple times to do things, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes, right? Well, to kind of take that I guess away would definitely help our relationship if I could just do it the first time, right?
I don't think in those situations it would be like a disrespect thing, just that you need to probably work on like listening to the situation more and like taking my feelings into account.
Absolutely, being more empathetic
Exactly.
to you. Okay, and like that's something that honestly I have to work on with all my relationships. You know what I'm saying? And all my encounters, because quite frankly, like I'm not particularly empathetic to a lot of things.
Like even at work,
Like
would be
even
a good example.
like even at work. But I will say this. On the flip side, you're very empathetic towards a lot of people and towards a lot of things. So it's like I can learn that from you. I can take that from you, and I can run with that.
I try.
Exactly. But basically, of the three things we went over, the code switching, the selective recall, and the empathy factor, and like listening and being respectful, I think the most important thing that we have going on is that we both are a good team. You know what I'm saying? And we keep working on it. We keep driving. Like, we're not perfect, but we make it happen. And that's really all that matters in a relationship. And that's why I think we have good communication at the end of the day. Even though we had to go over a couple things to work on, I still think that we're better off than what we could be. You know what I'm saying? And definitely better off than where we started. And that's what's really important.